Oh, hello, hello. If you are here, if you got here, it means you either are new to Via Ferrata and you want to know more, or you just booked a first climb, either with friends, with a guide, or by yourself. You already know something about Via Ferrata, but not enough. Or you are either an occasional Via Ferrata climber or a lover of Via Ferrata. Either way, you are here because you want to feed that curiosity. It can be the curiosity right before the first climb, but curiosity because you got enthusiastic through the nudge of content creators out there showing climbs or videos, fragments of their climb on Via Ferrata, and it looked interesting, which is true, it looks interesting. Via Ferrata, it is for fun, for entertainment. Now, we will often speak, and if you will check the channel, you will see that I'm many times speaking about complex topics. And the question is why? Because at the end of the day, Via Ferrata is for fun. You should go and do it because it is fun. And nothing happens, no accidents. When you stay and think, we don't have reports of accidents. Yes, they happen, they do happen. Via Ferrata is an extreme sport. It puts your life in danger, but you don't hear about that many accidents. And the tendency there is to ask yourself, do I really need to care that much? Do I really need to learn or to know? Well, it depends. And that one should be your personal take, if you need more or less. Why we are here is because we want to make sure that we have all the information. Then we ingest that information. Once ingested, it is up to us what to do with it. What you will get if you watch this video, we'll speak about this. We'll speak about Via Ferrata, the basic gear, what to expect, how to get out of trouble, how to avoid trouble, what are the best practices, what is the unconscious danger or unconscious errors we commit when we go on a Via Ferrata. We'll speak about these things. If you want to anticipate, if you are curious, if you want to know about Via Ferrata more, if you want to know how to tackle when you get out there without knowing anything about it, you learn the theoretical of it. You see on internet videos, but you don't see it all. You don't see what they go through. And this is a very important point to make. When you watch me, when you watch others, you see fragments, and pay attention because internet, social media deceives you. A video, even this video, will be edited at the end. You'll get the full of it as edited, not as I'm speaking. I might make errors. I might not speak with the same pace. Who knows what else I will do. I will try to make it as continuous, as at pace, and as proper possible. But it's not reality. The reality is it takes me days, hours, who knows how long and how much trial and error to get to a point. And even then, I might be wrong. Even there, the reality you see, the things you see, doesn't tell the whole truth, the whole story. So pay attention. When it comes to internet, you see things and you get enthusiastic fast. It is why social media, it is so successful compared to anything else. It is why education matters so little, because entertainment, because we humans being so lazy, and it is by design. It's not that we want to be lazy. It is our limited capability to cope with the myriad of information, with the bulk of it. Because of that, because we are lazy, and it is a natural tendency, and because we like fun thing, we don't want to live pain, we don't want to struggle, we don't want to solve problems, because again, solving problems means a lot of cognitive resources. Because of that, we get exposed. So pay attention to that, to what you see, because you might see comments, you might see tutorials, you might see videos, and it might seem easy. And you might go there and you might get out of it, but injured for life, for example, or disappointed because you thought it would be different and it proves to not be that way. It is good to learn how to assess and how to build for yourself that ability, that capability of seeing through to understand that you go into nowhere, you have no clue about it, but you know what to expect. And this is why we are here, to help you know what to expect. When it comes to Via Ferrata, You might rent the equipment, you might rent a climb with a guide and they will feed you the equipment, they will give you the equipment, or you might just build the whole setup by yourself. And when it comes to that, what you need to know is the basic safety equipment or the safety setup is made of 3 items. You have a sitting harness, then you have a Via Ferrata set, and the helmet. These 3 are the minimum. Without them, you should not climb a Via Ferrata. You might think, I can climb without a helmet, and the minimum now becomes the sitting harness and the Via Ferrata set, which is correct when you stay and think, and this is up to you to decide what is minimum for you. From a safety hazard perspective, the minimum is the sitting harness and then the Via Ferrata set, because you have to keep yourself connected to the safety steel cable. You only need to commit 1 error, and that's that. If you don't connect yourself through the sitting harness, through the Via Ferrata set, to the safety steel cable of the Via Ferrata, 1 error, 1 fraction of a second it takes for you to drop to the ground. If you really want to debate me on that, we can reduce the minimum to 2 items, the sitting harness and then the Via Ferrata set. But Via Ferrata is not like rock climbing, for example, and it's not like other disciplines. It involves others going on the same route, and many times rocks will fall because when they walk, the other climbers, they dislocate them. And a rock, when it comes from high, even if it is relatively small, with the speed it comes and it might hit your head, can become deadly. So you have to think about that. Yes, it doesn't happen, but look, I'm telling you one thing. When you are out there, it's like in a car driving at 130 kilometers an hour speed or more, and you lose control. The moment you lost the control, you wish that that car has the best airbags possible, it has the best collision behavior possible, the best ability to regain control. You want everything to be best when that happens, because it is fast. It will happen very fast when you lose control of a car. It will happen very fast, and when you will hit whatever you will hit, that one will smash you very, 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 very badly. And if the same happens in a fraction of a second, everything happens when it happens in 2 to 3 seconds, you'd not even have time to see how life fades in front of your eyes. It is that fast. The reaction time is very short. It is why you have to build habits, because your system too, the brain that thinks and your awareness shuts down. You go to your primal, to the animal inside you, to the primitive brain. That one is the one coping with everything, and that one is habit. It is reflex. So you might say, I can go without a helmet, and that's okay. You can do it. You can go without a helmet. But when danger comes, you don't have time. When it happens, what you learned and the habits you built, it is what will kick in. And if you know how to protect yourself against rocks, then you know what to do and you'll do it. If not, you'll be very exposed, and you might think, I can do. No, you cannot do anything. The moment it hits you, and that's that. When it comes to Via Ferrata, it is true. There is not that many accidents, and there are reasons why they don't happen. One of them, guides will never take you on a dangerous route, never. Then what you'll learn when you'll try to educate yourself on Via Ferrata is that it has difficulty levels and you should not go above that. And people usually do that. They don't challenge that much. And we are lucky enough that each time we challenge the difficulty levels, we are ready to do that. So people are rational, and this lowers the cases of incidents. And the majority of the incidents are actually human error through unconscious exposure to error. We commit the errors and we have no clue we did that, or we get into something and it takes us by surprise. Now, what to expect or how to anticipate, how to go through the experience, what Via Ferrata actually is. Well, Via Ferrata. Via Ferrata is climbing on a mountain, but it's not rock climbing. Yes, you go on verticals, yes, you go on overhangs, you go on exposed sections, but it is fought in a way that it allows the climber to do that in an easy way, in a fun way. It doesn't exposes you to danger. Let's say it differently. The higher the difficulty level, the more the Via Ferrata tries to push you away. Good. So this is clear. The higher the difficulty level, the harder the Via Ferrata. It means that Via Ferrata, it tries harder and harder to push you away. This is what makes the Via Ferrata difficult. It tries to make you brake on it. It doesn't necessarily require technical skill like rock climbing. Rock climbing, it is about improving your skill set, your technical ability to be able, and your force to be able to go through that. But rock climbing is more about technique than anything else, and also it is about a lot of failure and error. Via Ferrata is about entertainment, and you should never fail. On a Via Ferrata, under no circumstance you should fall, never. If you fall, you might be done. So don't fall, never. And I will explain, if you want, I will explain to you why on Via Ferrata you should never fall. So, Via Ferrata is for fun. You should go there, get access to parts of a mountain not even a rock climber gets, see the environment, go through the exercise, just have fun. It is good exercise for your body, for your brain, for you to socialize yourself in case you go with friends. Now, pay attention. When you are with someone in your proximity. You might chat with that person, you'll be in proximity of each other, but the sole responsibility of going through that climb, that solving of that Via Ferrata is yours, not of other person. Nobody can do and nobody should do anything for you on a Via Ferrata. You should be self-sufficient. It's not like in rock climbing where you have a belayer, someone that holds you on the rope, and in case you get tired, they might take away slack, and now you rest and everyone is happy. Or when you fall, the other person will do the best to catch you properly, to reduce the fall factor of that fall and make sure you are falling as graciously possible. No, on Via Ferrata, if you fall, you are at the mercy of your context, your situation, how that fall happens. It is between you and the mountain, you and the Via Ferrata, you and that specific situation. Nobody around you can do anything. It is up to you, and it is only you. This is a very important aspect of Via Ferrata. You get in and you get out. Yes, if something happens to you, someone, if you are lucky enough, will come and recover you, will come and aid you or help you. Or if you already have an understanding with whomever is with you, they might belay you, they might assist you. That's okay, it is possible. But in general, in the majority of the cases, Via Ferrata is about you and the contract between you and the Via Ferrata. You get in and you get out. You get yourself out. You don't have anyone else doing it for you. It is why you should go on the Via Ferrata, because it is fun. But fun comes with danger. And one of the biggest dangers on Via Ferrata is falling. You should never, at any point on a Via Ferrata, fall. If you do, pray or hope that that fall will not deploy the shock absorber. What this means, what the shock absorber means. Before I'm telling you what the shock absorber means, let me put here a couple of case scenarios, examples actually, for you to see what unconscious self-exposure to danger means on Via Ferrata. And as you can see in this picture here, this climber, she's climbing, she progresses on almost a vertical, and what she's doing is she puts a step. She puts the step, the right foot, and now she pushes herself up. She's now getting with the hand to the next anchor point. This is the right moment when, for this specific case scenario, where you should do the anchor point transition. What anchor point transition means? On Via Ferrata, you have a safety steel cable that goes in the majority of the cases without interruption from start to the end of that Via Ferrata. You are supposed to put the seating harness on you, connect the Via Ferrata set to the seating harness, and then connect the carabiners of the elasticated arms of the Via Ferrata set to this safety steel cable. And you have two of them. The reason you have two of them is because when you progress with the carabiners on this safety steel cable, the safety steel cable, it is held in place on the mountain, on the crag, on the wall by bolts. And these bolts, these anchors, they hang the cable, and they become an obstacle for the carabiners when you progress on the Via Ferrata. And what you have to do is, each time you reach an anchor like this, you have to disconnect the carabiners and plug them above, next, in front, as a continuation on the other part of the cable after the bolt, after the anchor. And this is what we call anchor point. And the transition means, the idea is, you connect yourself through the Via Ferrata set to the safety steel cable to make sure you don't drop. At any time, you should be connected to that cable. To be connected to that cable at any time, even when you do this anchor point transition, when you progress the carabiners, when you move the carabiners from below the anchor, above the anchor, or from left to right or right to left, based on how you progress, if you are on a horizontal or if you are on a vertical or a descent. To do that, to always stay connected, if you only have one carabiner, the moment you disconnect that, now you are exposed. You can fall to the ground and die. To always be connected, you have two carabiners, two lanyards, and the idea is you'd only disconnect one at a time. You disconnect one, put it on the other side of an anchor, and while this is disconnected, the other one stays connected. You put it on the other side, that one is now connected. You disconnect the second. When you disconnect the second, the first is connected on the other side of the anchor. So you are always connected. So now you are connecting this next to the first carabiner, first lanyard, and you then continue the progression. This is the anchor point transition, and it is very important as a discipline, or as to learn, to master, because you'll do it hundreds, thousands of times, either on a single Via Ferrata or many more, based on how many you'll climb during your career. Well, in this picture here, we see that our climber, she gets to a point where actually she's able to do the anchor point transition. She's close with her hands to the next anchor, so she can reach and do the anchor point. But what she's not doing is exactly that. She's not doing the anchor point transition with the first available opportunity. She keeps climbing, and now, as you can see, she's about to put her foot even higher and push herself higher. But higher means way above the anchor point. And what this means when it comes to the technicality of Via Ferrata is a very, 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 very high fall factor. Now, to understand what fall factor is, when you fall while rock climbing, you know you have a rope and you climb, and we speak here about lead climbing, because top rope climbing, yes, you can fall, but that one is almost static, because the rope, there is no slack between the belayer and you through the top station of a belay. But when you do lead climbing, and lead climbing means you have a quick draws and you keep progressing, you clip your rope into the carabiners of a quick draws, and then you progress, you climb towards the next quick draw, and that distance there, that slack there in the whole system, if you fall, you'll go down. And that type of fall while rock climbing, the fall factor of that is up to 2, and our body can take that without any issue. Well, you'll still end up injured, but the safety system and your body can take that force, the force that is creating during that fall. Now, what they say is everything above 2 becomes dangerous for our body. It can go from internal bleeding up to more than that. And more than that can mean anything, and everything can lead to death. So more than 2, it is dangerous. And the problem with Via Ferrata is in truth, so far we don't have that many incidents. Lucky us, because again, they build Via Ferrata in a way that we are safe. But if you make errors and you fall, you might get into serious trouble. It is why the Via Ferrata set has a shock absorber, because through the shock absorber, we want to reduce that force the moment you start braking into the Via Ferrata set. The shock absorber deploys, and that one takes the energy of a fall. In this way, neither the equipment nor the body, our body, will take the whole force. Only some will get propagated through our body and through the safety system. Now, imagine the more the fall factor is, this shock absorber can take as much. So at the point, what will happen is, if the force is so much, we will deploy the whole shock absorber, and then there is no shock absorber, and the rest of the force will get transmitted to our body. The higher the fall factor, the more the shock absorber will deploy. If the shock absorber deploys up to the end and there is still enough force that wants to propagate and has nowhere to go, then it will go onto the safety equipment and our body. In this scenario here, if we calculate to a minimum, we think the climber, she's quite short, 165 centimeters high, 165 centimeters tall, and then the Via Ferrata set, when extended fully, it is 110, 120 centimeters. We think it is 110 centimeters. We do the math, and as you can see, it is about 2.85, the fall factor. It is already way above the threshold of 2, which we want to have when we fall on a Via Ferrata, as in rock climbing. And in rock climbing 2, it is the maximum and should remain the maximum. As you see, on Via Ferrata is more than 2 already, and she's not that high above the next anchor. And it is that easy to make this type of errors, because we rush, we don't think about it, and we have many always coming and saying, why do you insist so much? Because look, nothing happens on Via Ferrata. It is true, nothing happens. You only need something to happen once, and you might not drop to the ground. You might survive, but you might survive either with a life-threatening injury that will hold you in hospital or take you to the hospital, and you don't want that. Or it might be a more manageable injury, but it might prevent you going forward to do anything else, and you don't want to happen to you. You don't want at all. You never want something bad to happen to you. If it is to fall, then fall as less possible. This is the idea. And we have to think about that. We want to avoid falling. Why we want to avoid falling? As I just showcased, this fall factor, this force that gets built up when you fall. You don't want that, because that one is damaging to your body and to the safety system. If you have an old safety system, might break, and you might fall to the ground. Or the safety system will do well, but a large bundle of that force will get transmitted to your body. And you don't want that, because it is a lot of pain, and it can, again, leave behind a lot of damage, internal damage or external or mechanical damage to your body. You don't want that to happen. Then there is another issue. Once you fall and the shock absorber deploys, then that's that. You have to replace that Via Ferrata set. Why? Because if you fall back again, now there is no shock absorber to absorb that shock. And in that case, if it happens on the same route while you are trying to exit it, to fall back again, now your body and the safety system will take the whole force of the fall, and that one might lead to what I was saying. Either the lanyards, one of them will break and you fall to the ground, or the whole force gets passed to your body and you might end up with life-threatening or devastating injuries, and you don't want that to happen. Now, as you can see in this other picture, the same case scenario, On the left, the climber could have made the transition right away. He was there, reaching on the next anchor with the hand. It was easy to do the transition, but he chooses in the second to the right, if you check, he chooses to continue progressing higher. And this takes us to an about 2.42 fall factor. This is bad again. It is lower than in the previous case, but still bad when it could have been avoided right away. Again, on Via Ferrata, we are lucky enough that we don't have that many incidents. It doesn't happen, but if it happens, and it only has to happen once, then you'll get into serious trouble, and you don't want that. As you can see in this other picture, the climber is high above, way high above. He could have made the transition way earlier, but he didn't. And this is, again, dangerous. We make this error unconsciously because we don't educate ourselves on the fall factor. I'm confident I've done it in the past for sure multiple times. I might do it as when I'm speaking English. English is not my first language. Actually, it is my third language. And each time I'm speaking and then editing, I see that instead of saying before, I've said after, for example. And I did not even realize that. And it is okay, because Via Ferrata is not our first language. It is something that we learn, and we have to build that habit. And to build the habit, we have to go over and over and over again and repeat and learn more, refine more, and from there get to a place where we achieve mastery. So it is okay to commit this error, be aware of it. And look, this is the correct way of doing it. On this picture, I'm showing you 2 case scenarios with myself climbing. And I'm always doing this because first, I don't want to fall. And second, it helps me. I put less effort on the verticals, because the moment I extend my arm fully and clip the Via Ferrata set above the anchor, I do the anchor point transition with at least one lanyard, one elasticated lanyard, then I can also rest a moment, and it helps me to rebuild momentum and complete that vertical, for example. So you see, committing to an anchor point transition when you first time have an opportunity, it actually introduces more benefits than just avoiding an unnecessary fall. If you fall, there is no fall. If you lose control there at the point when you first time have an opportunity to do the anchor point transition, if you lose control, there is no fall because it is already fully extended, the Via Ferrata set. If you now try to progress more, the fall is the minimum it can be. It is between the anchor point and then the length of the lanyard, and then how much you progress above the anchor to reach the other. But in that interval there is nothing you can do. So that one is the risk you take when you go on a Via Ferrata. The length of the Via Ferrata set fully extended, which is between 110 or 120, it can vary based on multiple other factors, but let's say that. And that one is what will take you down below the anchor when the carabiners will hit the anchor. So you have that, plus the length or the distance you travel up to the point when you have a first time the opportunity to do the anchor point transition. And this distance here, there is nothing you can do. That one is a dead distance. There is nothing you can do. It depends on how the Via Ferrata is built, on the segment, if it is horizontal, if it is diagonal, if it is overhanging, or if it is a vertical, and so forth. So it's many factors there. But this nothing you can do zone, it exists, and it is part of what Via Ferrata is. If you fall in that zone, it's not your fault. Well, your fault, or you can say you can blame yourself for falling, but you cannot blame yourself for not doing what is smart to do and you should do, which is the anchor point transition at the right time, at the right moment, and in this way to avoid a huge fall factor. If you fall in this nothing you can do about zone, it is how the Via Ferrata was built. If that Via Ferrata was built in a way that generates in that falling segment fall factors higher than 2 or 3, then it's the issue of the builder, not yours. Again, all you can do is to try your best not to fall. So yes, this is the dead zone of the Via Ferrata progression, or let's call it the zone where you can not do anything about it. If you fall, you fall, and you have to go through the fall, hoping the best that can happen there. Now, this is how you do it right. Arms fully extended, lanyards fully extended. You do the anchor point transition at the first opportunity, and baton will keep you out of trouble to the best of your abilities. Now, if something happens when from there you continue progressing, it is life. There is nothing you can do about it. Another unconscious error, because look, in this picture here to the left, it is a group of children, and the child, and this is very bad because, well, it was the responsibility of a guide not to allow that to happen. But everything can happen on a Via Ferrata, and that's okay. But as in this picture here, no, this is avoidable. It is one of the rules of Via Ferrata. Never disconnect yourself from the safety steel cable. Never. You should always have at any time at least one carabiner, one elasticated lanyard connected to the safety steel cable. And what this child does here, if you check and pay attention to the picture, has both carabiners connected to a rung, to a peg. This is a no-no. You don't do that. You don't disconnect yourself fully from the safety steel cable, because that one you might not feel it, you might not know, but it might give up. And if it gives up, there is nothing you can do. Via Ferrata, the safety steel cable on the Via Ferrata, usually in the majority of the cases, it is checked periodically, and either way, the climbers, they see themselves, and you should do the same as I do. If I see a problem, I always call and let them know, look, you see there is a problem, so go and fix it. And the Via Ferrata safety steel cable, if let's suppose a bolt gives up, then it's the left and the right bolt. So there is always a bolt holding the cable. But a rung, if that rung gives up, nothing holds you and you drop to the ground. So this kid here makes this error, and it is one error many do because they think I'm safe, I'm secure. No, you can clip your resting while you are still connected to the Via Ferrata safety steel cable. You can do that. To the right, we see this climber. She's again fully disconnected from the Via Ferrata set, and as you can see, one carabiner is connected to the utility loop of a sitting harness, and the other one, only one, connected to that rock climbing anchor. That rock climbing anchor might not be secure, might give up. You don't know how that bolt might get out. You maybe didn't test it properly. What do you do then? So theoretically she's secure, theoretically the bolt holds, the anchor holds, but what if not? Now, again, I'm confident she tested before clipping herself, but that one is a no-no. You should avoid doing that. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? Because when Via Ferrata was designed, there was a purpose. So let's not push it too much when it comes to what we should do, what we should not do. Of course, you can do anything you want at the end of the day. It is your own liability. It is your own life. So you decide what to do with that. But don't do that. Again, I have comments saying, but I can do it without that. I know you can do it without that. But if you can do it with the other thing, which is better, why not? So, yes, this is another case of what can happen on a Via Ferrata. Be very careful because this can get dangerous fast. When it comes to fear, you have to manage that. Fear is a natural reaction of our body, of we as who we are as Homo sapiens. It is there to preserve who we are, to preserve our life. So it's normal to be afraid. Fear of heights is different. We all, I presume, all have fear of heights one way or another. Now, if it's like fear of heights can be either as an allergy, which if you have it, you have it. So there is nothing you can do about it. If you have a vertigo and you cannot control it and you cannot work on fixing that, and even that means a lot of time, a lot of repetition, then that's that. You are a sick person and it's not your fault. But otherwise, fear of heights, that one can be fixed. You only have to repeat as much as you can, as often as you can. It's about repetition. I was afraid, and I'm still impressed by drops when I go through them, and I realize, and I'm thinking, oh, if I fall here, I might only have 1 or 2 seconds to think about things, and that's pretty much all. So yes, as long as you have the right safety equipment and you follow to the best of your abilities the routine, then you are safe and you can go through it. And this is what your mind should understand, but you have to say it to your brain, to your mind. But even there, too much optimism might get you into trouble. So you have to pay attention to all these things. And this is where we go in that segment of a video where I told you I will tell you how to deal with the unknown over Via Ferrata. You don't know where a route takes you. I don't know. I'm always going on new routes and I have no clue where they take me. And I always think the worst possible. And I have many coming and bragging and shouting and saying, oh, you take too much care about the gear you hold with you and always go over prepared. Yes, I'm doing that because I don't know. I really don't know. And because I don't know, and because I don't know what I'm getting myself into, I want to get out. And I have no clue what that might mean. It might be an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. It might be a day and even longer. Imagine if something happens to you, a route you know, and something happens. And it can happen, muscle cramp or worse. And if that happens, how do you get out of there? You don't. So you have to have all the tools to call for help, or to try to manage an exit by yourself, or at least if someone comes, to be able to help you get out of there. If someone comes, best case scenario, or if you can call for help, now you have to be able to wait for that help. And what that even means, you never know based on what can happen. Hopefully you are in a situation where you can hold and wait, and your life should not be threatened by that waiting or by that holding. So you see, it is quite complex. It is why everyone recommends first to take a guide, and that's okay. The only issue that you might find with a guide is guides will always take you on safe, secure routes. They don't expose you, and this is their mission, to get you in and to get you out. But if you want to explore more, now you have to do it by yourself. And doing it by yourself means danger. You expose yourself. So many say you should take a guide with you. Others say take a friend, which is correct. If something happens, at least the friend can take some action, hopefully. And then others, they say go when you know the route will be busy. Valid again, or otherwise go prepared, and go prepared to the elements. Now, best is to try to learn how to read maps and understand that on Via Ferrata, verticals and overhangs that are giving the grade D, E, and F to that Via Ferrata are a danger. If you end up on a segment like that and something happens, you might get into big trouble, and you might need to have all required for you to go through that element one way or another. So you have to go prepared. It is why I have a Ferrata.Bloc, for example, as an assistant when I'm going on the verticals of the difficult and very difficult Via Ferrata. I might use it, I might not use it, but if something happens to me and I'm not able to go through that vertical, now I know I have a Ferrata.Bloc. It's not a safety item, it is an aiding piece of equipment. So that one is not for safety, it is for aiding yourself, for helping yourself. But I have it with me. I will always have it with me. If I know that Via Ferrata has verticals, I will have that with me. I use it or not, people laugh or not at me or watching me or seeing me with it, that's okay. It is about my health, me staying safe and secure on that Via Ferrata. If I go on overhangs, now, with the overhangs, it is a story because it really depends on the type of overhang. It is on a diagonal, it is on a vertical. If it is on a diagonal, best to aid myself with a Ferrata.Bloc, for example. If it is on a horizontal, of a resting system, either way, I will have both with me to make sure I can avoid a fall. A fall on a vertical for a 100 kilograms climber like me means for sure deploying the shock absorber of a Via Ferrata set. And that deployment means going under the cable by 1.5 to 3 meters. But that one is a lot, because I will not be able to reach back with my arms to the cable to then get out of there. And to avoid that, I might use aiding or have aiding at reach. In case I feel like falling, then I'll aid myself. And much more, you can see it on the channel. I have a belay kit, for example, for people that need help and so forth. So you have to know how to get out of these elements. On bridges, for example, on bridges, I always say you should have a resting system and use that. Why? Because on a bridge, there is no fall factor. If you properly plug this static lanyard, which we call resting system, there is no slack. And by not having any slack, it means any loss of control, it is static. There is no fall. You stay there in that position at arm's reach of a cable, so you can recover. Because again, on a bridge, if you fall and the shock absorber deploys, you might be way below the bridge. There is a video on the channel how to recover, if possible. It really depends on how you fall. So yes, you want to avoid that. So you have to be smart about it. But being smart about it might expose you. You might commit other errors you don't understand or you don't see as the climbers before they were committing with a fall factor by not executing the anchor point transition at the right time. Same with this, when you start to add complexity into your safety equipment, might actually expose you to danger. And it is how we say in the United States, it's better not to have arms than to have arms, because what might kill is your own weapon. Now, same with Via Ferrata. You have to be very careful and learn a lot and be aware and understand the risk factor, because if you fall 1 or 2 fall factor into a static lanyard, that one will break for sure. And the issue is, now you'll have a Via Ferrata set connected as well. You should have a Via Ferrata set connected as well always. So if that breaks, because if your belay loop breaks, now nothing connects you to anything, so you'll drop to the ground. So it really depends on what will break. But if only that breaks, the whole shock will go in that rupture of a lanyard and then onto your body. It is very bad. So you don't want to ever fall on a vertical on a static lanyard. Now, how can you fall on a static lanyard on an overhang if that lanyard is extremely long? It should not. It should only be the arm's reach. And that is safe, because arm's reach means fully extended. If you release your arms, you now sit into that static lanyard. If a lanyard is longer than your arm's reach, now you have slack. And if you release your arms, now you have fall factor. And now that force has to go somewhere. So you have to learn these things. You have to familiarize yourself with these things, because at the end of the day, might save your life, or at least get you out of trouble if your life is not in danger, but you get into a situation that you don't want anyone else after that to know about.